The massive Galactic Council chamber hung suspended in space, a gleaming disk of polished metal orbiting the neutral star system of Valara. Inside, representatives from 24 spacefaring civilizations gathered under the soft blue light of artificial gravity wells. The annual security assessment had been proceeding smoothly until the human question arose. Representative Modu of the Cephide Collective adjusted his breathing apparatus and waved a tentacle dismissively. His blue-green skin glistened with irritation. "Their technology is barely developed," he scoffed. "They've only achieved faster-than-light travel in the last 50 cycles. The most advanced human ships would fall to even our patrol vessels." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Most council members viewed humans as an amusing curiosity, primitive newcomers who had somehow stumbled upon the principles of space travel before mastering their own violent tendencies. "I've studied their weapon systems," added Representative Jinho, a thin, tall being with 6 eyes arranged in a circle around his elongated head. "Primitive projectile weapons and rudimentary energy shields, nothing that poses any threat to established galactic powers." From across the chamber, Ambassador Taiho watched silently. Unlike most of the younger races, his people, the Valari, had encountered many rising civilizations over their 50,000 years of spacefaring. The ancient diplomat's silver eyes narrowed as he studied the holographic display showing Earth and its colonies. "Perhaps we should hear from our research team," suggested Chair-Being Yuna, her translucent wings fluttering slightly as she gestured to the small delegation of scientists. Lead researcher Dong Yun stepped forward, his forearms manipulating the controls to expand the hologram. "Humans have established 7 colonies beyond their home system in just 20 years. Their population growth rate exceeds any prediction models we established." "That just proves they're a plague," interrupted Representative Hana of the Silicon. "Consciousness. Consuming resources at an unsustainable rate," Dongyun continued undeterred. "What's remarkable is their adaptability. On their colony on Proxima Centauri b, they've already begun genetic modifications to survive the high radiation environment. Their scientists accomplished in 5 years what took most species generations." Ambassador Taiho finally rose from his seat, his ancient voice carrying an authority that quieted the chamber. "I have reviewed all reports from our observers on Earth. You are making a dangerous miscalculation." "The humans are primitive," countered Modu. "Their world is fractured into competing nation-states. They still fight among themselves." "Yes," said Taiho calmly. "They fight and survive and adapt. Did any of you actually study their history?" He gestured, and the hologram shifted to show Earth's timeline. They developed from stone tools to space travel in less than 10,000 years. They survived multiple self-inflicted near-extinction events. Their art shows they've been imagining contact with us long before they knew we existed. Taiho walked slowly around the display. "What truly concerns me is their unique psychology. Most species either evolve through cooperation or competition. Humans somehow maintain both simultaneously. They can unite instantly against outside threats while competing fiercely among themselves." "You speak of them as if they're special," said Representative Jinho with a dismissive flick of his hand. "They're just another young species with delusions of importance." Taiho's silver eyes flashed. "You ignore their history at your peril. Their adaptability is unprecedented. When the Drakari attacked their first colony, humans lost every battle for 6 months. Then suddenly they didn't. They had completely redesigned their fleet based on observed Drakari tactics. "One minor success against a minor power," said Chair-Being Yuna. "The Drakari barely qualify for council membership." Researcher Donghyun cleared his throat nervously. "There is one other factor. Human neural architecture allows them to process fear differently than most species. Where others become cautious, humans often become more aggressive when threatened." The debate continued for hours. Taiho presented example after example of human innovation and resilience, but most representatives remained unconvinced. Eventually, Chair-Being Yuna called for a vote. Those in favor of classifying human expansion as a potential security concern requiring containment measures. 23 lights illuminated green. Only Taiho's remained red. "The council has spoken. announced Yuna. Humans are hereby classified as a containment-necessary species. We will begin drafting measures to limit their expansion beyond current boundaries. As the session ended and representatives filed out, Taiho remained seated, watching the hologram of Earth rotating slowly. His young aide, Minje, approached cautiously. "Ambassador, perhaps next cycle we can present stronger evidence they've made a terrible mistake," Taiho whispered, his ancient eyes never leaving the blue-green planet. "I've seen this before, long ago, a species that appears primitive but possesses something rare, the capacity to transform threat into opportunity." Minje looked confused. "But the Council has overwhelming military superiority." Taiho finally turned to his aide, his expression grave. "The Council believes humans are dangerous because they are primitive. The truth is far worse." He gestured to the hologram. "They're dangerous because they're humans, and they've survived precisely because they've been underestimated before." As they walked from the chamber, alerts were already being drafted. Across Council space, military assets began. Quiet preparations. Operation Earthfall would soon commence, a minor containment action that would, in the Council's estimation, put the upstart humans in their proper place. None of them, except perhaps Taiho, understood what they were about to unleash. The massive Council battle fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, surrounding Earth's solar system like a net closing around prey. 50 capital ships, each larger than the biggest human vessel, took up strategic positions. Smaller craft moved between them, establishing the energy barrier that would prevent any human ship from escaping. From the command deck of the flagship Inevitable Dominance, Admiral Noru watched with satisfaction. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he surveyed the holographic display showing human territory, pitifully small compared to the vast reaches controlled by Council races. "Blockade established, Admiral," reported Commander Q. "All human vessels have been detected and targeted. Their primitive sensors are only now registering our presence." Noru's skin rippled with pleasure. "Excellent. Send the message." Throughout human space, communication systems suddenly broadcast the same transmission. "Attention, humans. Your species has been deemed a threat to galactic stability. You are hereby confined to your current territories. Any attempt to expand beyond these boundaries will result in immediate military response. Resistance is inadvisable." On Earth, the message triggered immediate chaos. Emergency sessions were called in every government. The United Earth Defense Council, usually fractious and slow to act, assembled within hours. "They can't just box us in," shouted General Hyun, slamming his fist on the table. "We have colonies that need supply ships. People will die if this blockade holds." President Jisoo raised her hand for silence. At 62, she had guided humanity through first contact and the challenging early years of galactic diplomacy. Her calm voice cut through the panic. "We must attempt diplomatic resolution first. Admiral Noru's message implies negotiation is possible. They've classified us as a threat, but perhaps we can change their assessment." 3 days later, the diplomatic vessel Olive Branch approached the blockade under a flag of peace. Captain Jinwoo had been carefully selected for his patience and diplomatic skills. With him was Earth's most experienced negotiation team. Unidentified. "Vessel, halt your approach," came the Council transmission. "This is Captain Jinwoo of Earth Diplomatic Vessel Olive Branch. We come unarmed to discuss the blockade and seek peaceful resolution." After a tense hour of waiting, permission was granted to dock with a Council cruiser. The diplomatic team transferred, hopeful this was a sign of willingness to talk. They were met not by Admiral Noru, but by a junior officer who led them to a small, windowless room. For 6 hours they waited. When the officer finally returned, he carried not refreshments but a single data crystal. "Your species has been classified as containment necessary. This is non-negotiable. Return to your planet and comply." "Please," urged Jinwoo, "at least allow us to explain." "There is nothing to explain," interrupted the officer. "Return to your vessel immediately." When Olive Branch returned to Earth, President Jisoo received their report with growing concern. The Council had refused all discussion. The data crystal contained only the same message that had been broadcast earlier, with additional warnings about Consequences of non-compliance. We'll try again, she decided. Perhaps a different approach. We'll send representatives from our colonies as well, show them how we've peacefully coexisted with local ecosystems. But the second diplomatic mission never reached the blockade. Horizon Research Station orbited just beyond Mars, studying deep space phenomena. With nearly 300 scientists and support staff, it represented humanity's commitment to understanding the universe. It had no military value or weapons systems. Researcher Sung-ho was recording observations of a distant pulsar when alarms suddenly blared. Through the station's viewing portal, he saw a Council destroyer approaching. "This is Horizon Station 2. Council vessel. We are a civilian research facility. Please identify your..." The destroyer fired once. The energy beam cut through Horizon's unshielded hull like paper. Secondary explosions rippled through the station as atmosphere vented into space. Within minutes, Horizon was reduced to scattered debris. The Council ship broadcast on all frequencies. "This demonstration shows our resolve. Contain yourselves to agreed boundaries or face elimination." 13 escape pods managed to launch. Only 7 reached Mars. On Earth, the news of Horizon's destruction spread like wildfire. Images of the attack, captured by Martian telescopes, showed the deliberate targeting of a clearly marked civilian station. In an emergency broadcast, President Jisoo addressed not just Earth, but all human colonies. Her face was pale but resolute, as she stood before the assembled representatives of Earth's nations. "Fellow humans, today, we witnessed an act of unprovoked violence against innocent civilians. The destruction of Horizon Research Station, with its 289 scientists and crew, was not an act of war, but something far worse, a crime against the very principles of civilization." The chamber was utterly silent as she continued. "We attempted peaceful dialogue. We expressed willingness to understand their concerns. In response, they murdered our people, researchers dedicated to expanding knowledge, not military personnel." She paused, visibly controlling her emotion. "They targeted non-combatants. By the standards of every human culture throughout our history, they have crossed the line that separates reasonable beings from monsters. We therefore have no choice but to invoke the Emergency Defense Protocol." Throughout human space, military installations that had remained dormant suddenly activated. Hidden shipyards powered up. Weapons systems long concealed from alien observation came online. Meanwhile, aboard the inevitable Dominance, Admiral Noru hosted a celebration for his senior officers. Purple liquid filled crystal glasses as they toasted their victory. "The primitives will understand their place now," Noru declared, confidently. "Our demonstration was regrettably necessary but completely effective." Commander Q approached hesitantly. "Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from several human military bases." "Probably preparing some token resistance," Noru said dismissively. "Let them try. It will give us another opportunity to demonstrate our superiority." "There's something else," Q added, his voice uncertain. "Several human ships have disappeared from our sensors." "Disappeared?" Noru laughed. "Impossible. Nothing escapes our detection systems. But across the blockade line, human vessels were indeed vanishing. Silent commands activated stealth systems that Council intelligence had never discovered. Ships changed position, following protocols long established but never before implemented. The Council believed they had taught humans a lesson. They didn't realize they had just signed their own defeat warrant. "Where did they go?" demanded Council tactician Limi, his normally composed voice rising with each word. The holographic display before him showed empty space where 37 human military vessels had been moments before. "Unknown tactician," replied the sensor officer. "They were there, then they weren't." Lemmy's four-fingered hand slammed against the console. "That's impossible. Nothing can evade our quantum detection grid. Nothing." Across the Council blockade fleet, similar scenes played out as human ships simply vanished from monitoring systems. Within 2 hours, every human military vessel had disappeared, leaving only civilian transports and stations visible to Council. "Sensors. They're running," suggested Commander Dury, her facial scales shifting to a confident blue. "Hiding in asteroid belts or behind moons. Primitive tactics." Limi wasn't convinced. 20 years of studying human warfare had taught him one crucial lesson: humans were never predictable. Increase sensor sensitivity. Deploy probe drones to sweep all local space, find those ships. What the Council forces couldn't know was that the human vessels hadn't gone anywhere. They remained exactly where they had been, cloaked by technology the Council had deemed theoretically impossible. 300 meters beneath the Pacific Ocean on Earth, the true heart of human military command came to life. Hidden bunkers that had never appeared on any official document, shared with alien observers, powered up systems that had been perfected in absolute secrecy. Admiral Sunwoo stood in the center of the Global Defense Operations Room, watching as dormant battle groups reported ready status. At 58, she had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, the day humans might need to fight for their survival against superior forces. Status report, she ordered calmly. All ships confirm Phase 0 complete, reported Commander Junho. Stealth systems functioning at optimal levels. Council forces are blind to our positions. Sunwoo nodded. The stealth technology had been humanity's best-kept secret, developed not through a single breakthrough, but through countless small advances carefully hidden from alien observation. While officially pursuing conventional engine and weapons, technology, Earth's true research had focused on becoming invisible. Communication status, quantum entanglement network online, answered Lieutenant Jian. All ships and colonies connected. The Council can't detect or intercept our communications. This was humanity's second secret weapon. While using standard communication methods for everyday purposes, they had quietly built a network that operated outside normal space-time, using paired quantum particles to transmit information instantaneously, regardless of distance. On the main screen, green icons represented every human military asset, over 200 vessels that the Council had never known existed, built in hidden facilities throughout the solar system and equipped with weapons technologies developed in absolute secrecy. The Council believes they know our capabilities, Sunwoo said, addressing the command staff. They think they've seen our best technology, our strongest ships. They're wrong. She stepped onto the central platform, activating the fleet-wide broadcast. Her image would now appear on every human military vessel throughout the solar system. Attention. All personnel. This is Admiral Sunwoo. The destruction of Horizon Station and the murder of 289 civilian researchers has made our course clear. The emergency defense protocol is now active. She paused, her expression hardening. Begin Phase 1, she ordered. Her address to the troops was brief but powerful. We didn't survive our own violent history by showing mercy to those who slaughter innocents. Today, we show the Council why humanity should never be underestimated. Throughout human space, stealth, vessels silently accelerated toward predetermined targets. The ships operated on a revolutionary propulsion system that left no energy signature, another technology the Council had dismissed as impossible. Captain Minji guided her vessel, the Shadow Striker, toward the massive communication relay that coordinated the eastern section of the Council blockade. Her 12-person crew operated in near silence, each focused on their assigned tasks. Range to target? She asked quietly. 15,000 kilometers and closing, replied Navigator Taihyun. Still no indication they've detected us. Minji studied the tactical display. The relay was a sprawling structure of interconnected arrays and power nodes, protected by 2 Council frigates. Neither warship showed any sign of alert status. Weapons. Status. EMP charges primed and ready, confirmed Weapons Officer Haeji. Targeting solutions locked. Minji nodded. Remember, we disable, not destroy, no casualties if possible. This was a key element of the human strategy. Precision strikes against infrastructure rather than mass attacks against personnel. The goal wasn't to kill Council forces, but to blind and isolate them. Similar scenes played out across Council space as human vessels approached 20 key communication relays simultaneously. Each team had trained for years for this exact mission, using detailed intelligence gathered by human operatives who had posed as maintenance workers or traders. Aboard the Shadow Striker, Minji watched the countdown reach 0. Execute, she ordered. From the underside of her ship, 3 projectiles launched with minimal energy signatures. They struck the relay's primary power distribution nodes with pinpoint accuracy. Instead of explosions, they released precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses that surged through the relay's systems, burning out every circuit and processor. The massive structure went dark instantly. Throughout the relay, backup systems attempted to activate, only to fall victim to secondary pulse waves that had been timed specifically to catch the emergency protocols. On the Council frigates, panic erupted as commanders suddenly found themselves cut off from the blockade fleet. Emergency transmitters activated, only to find no receiving stations operational within range. Across Council space, the pattern repeated with ruthless efficiency. Within 17 minutes, 20 major communication hubs had been neutralized, isolating different sections of the blockade fleet from each other and from Council High Command. In the Deep Pacific Command Center, Admiral Sun Woo watched as the mission reports came in. Every target neutralized, no casualties on either side. Phase 1 complete, reported Commander Junho. Council fleet communications are severed. Their battle groups are now isolated from Central Command. Sun Woo nodded. Begin Phase 2 preparations. We have a 6-hour window before they establish alternative communication pathways. On her monitor, she could see Council vessels firing blindly into empty space, hoping to hit the invisible attackers. Their advanced weapons found nothing but vacuum they still don't understand, she said quietly. They thought they were facing a primitive species learning to crawl into space. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display. They're about to discover they're facing a species that learned to survive by preparing for the worst. Throughout human space, the next wave of vessels moved into position. Phase 2 would show the Council exactly what humanity was capable of when provoked. Council General Bani stood frozen on the command deck of the unyielding Victory, the largest battle station. In the Council fleet, for 8 generations, his family had served in the Council military. They had fought rebels, pirates, and rogue civilizations. Never once had they known defeat. Until now. The General's eyes widened as proximity alarms shrieked across the command center. On the main view screen, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. Where there had been nothing but empty void moments before, human warships now appeared, dozens of them, surrounding the battle station in a perfect sphere formation. Impossible, Bani gasped, his dorsal spines rising in alarm. Their technology can't be this advanced. Where did they come from? The vessels were unlike any human ships the Council had documented. Sleek, angular, and nearly twice the size of known human military craft, they gleamed with a strange, light-absorbing material that made them difficult to focus on even when visible. "General, they're hailing us," reported Communications Officer Yeji, her voice shaking. Before Bani could respond, every screen on the command deck changed to display the same image, a human in a navy blue uniform with 4 gold stars on each shoulder. "This is Admiral Sun Woo of the Earth Defense Force," the human said calmly. "Your communication network has been neutralized. Your fleet is divided. You stand alone." Bani straightened his posture, determined not to show weakness. "This is General Bani of the Galactic Council. Your primitive show of force is meaningless. Surrender now, and we may show mercy." The human admiral's expression didn't change. "You destroyed Horizon Station. 289 civilians, researchers, scientists. You call us primitive, yet you target non-combatants." "A necessary demonstration," Bani replied. "Your species must learn its place." "No," Admiral Sun Woo said, her voice still eerily calm. "Today your council learns about humanity." The transmission cut off. Seconds later, the first shots were fired. Across council space, similar scenes played out as human vessels suddenly appeared around key military installations. The stealth technology that council scientists had deemed theoretically impossible proved devastatingly real. On the council coordination cruiser Inevitable Order, tactical coordinator Dara frantically input commands, trying to organize a counterattack. "Follow Protocol 7 Alpha," she shouted. "All vessels form defensive perimeter as outlined in the Standard Battle Doctrine." For centuries, Council military forces had relied on carefully constructed battle protocols, standardized responses to specific threats developed by their finest tactical minds. These protocols had served them well against conventional enemies. Humans, however, were not conventional. As Council ships moved into their predetermined formations, human vessels simply adjusted their tactics. When Council ships formed a defensive sphere, human attackers split into smaller groups that targeted junction points. When Council forces switched to an offensive wedge, human ships scattered, drawing them out of formation before striking from unexpected vectors. "For they're not following any recognizable pattern," Dara cried in frustration. "Each human commander appears to be making independent tactical decisions." This was precisely the case. While Council forces operated under centralized command structures with standardized responses, human battle groups had been trained for autonomous operation. Each commander had authority to adapt tactics based on battlefield conditions, creating a constantly shifting, unpredictable assault pattern that Council forces couldn't counter. 200,000 kilometers from the main battle, Commander Wu Jin guided the assault carrier Thunderstrike toward the Council's primary battle station. Unlike the larger vessels engaged in the main assault, Thunderstrike led a specialized strike team of 12 smaller craft. "Status report," Wu Jin ordered, studying the tactical display. "The diversion is working," reported Lieutenant Doyun. 90% of the battle station's defensive forces have been drawn to the main engagement. Their southern quadrant is exposed. Wu Jin nodded. "Perfect." He activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is Commander Wu Jin. We're approaching our target. The Council's main battle station represents the heart of their military presence in our system." He paused, letting his next words carry their full weight. "They expected us to surrender," he told his crew. "Instead, they'll learn why humans have survived against all odds on Earth. For thousands of years, we've faced extinction-level threats, some from nature, many of our own making. Each time, we adapted. Each time, we survived." Through the viewport, the massive Council battle station grew larger, a sprawling construct of interlocking modules and weapon arrays that dwarfed any human installation. "Commence attack pattern Epsilon," Wu Jin ordered. "Target their shield generators and communication arrays first." The Thunderstrike and its escort vessels accelerated forward, releasing a barrage of precisely targeted missiles. These weren't conventional explosives but specialized EMP devices designed to overload specific systems while leaving others intact. On the battle station, General Bani watched in growing horror as his defenses failed one by one. Council military doctrine had always emphasized overwhelming force, massive energy weapons designed to obliterate enemy vessels completely. But the humans weren't trying to destroy the battle station. They were systematically disabling it, targeting specific systems with surgical precision. "Redirect power to the main cannon," Bani ordered desperately. "We'll destroy their command ship in one shot." "Sir, we can't," replied his weapon officer. "They've somehow isolated our power. Distribution network. Each section is operating independently." This was another human innovation. Rather than attempting to match the Council's superior firepower, they had developed weapons that attacked the integration of enemy systems, turning the complexity of advanced Council technology against itself. As the battle station's defenses crumbled, Commander Wu Jin's voice echoed through every communication channel. "General Bani, your position is lost. Surrender your station, and we guarantee the safety of your crew." Across Council space, the pattern repeated. Human forces didn't seek to destroy their technologically superior enemy, but instead neutralized their advantages through targeted strikes and adaptable tactics. The Council's carefully constructed defense network, built on centuries of military doctrine, collapsed within days. Their rigid protocols proved useless against an enemy that refused to fight according to established rules. In his private quarters, General Bani recorded what he believed might be his final message to Council High Command. "We have gravely underestimated the humans. Their technology far exceeds our intelligence assessments, but more dangerous than their weapons is their mindset. They fight not as a conventional military, but as survivors, adaptive, resourceful, and unlike any species we have encountered. They strike precisely, minimize casualties, and offer mercy, even in victory." He paused, his voice lowering. "If this message reaches you, know this. These humans could have destroyed us completely. Instead, they disabled our weapons while preserving our lives. I do not know if this reflects restraint or confidence, but I fear we have awakened something we do not understand. As human forces secured the massive battle station, Commander Wu Jin stood on the captured command deck. Through the viewport, Earth shone like a blue jewel against the blackness of space, still safe, still free. "Transmission from Admiral Sunwoo," reported Lieutenant Doyen. "Phase 3 complete. All primary council military installations have been neutralized." Wu Jin nodded. "Send word to the council survivors. Tell them we're ready to discuss terms." 3. Weeks after the council's initial attack on human space, the galaxy found itself transformed. Human vessels patrolled near half of the council's most critical military installations. The mighty alien fleet that had once encircled Earth now drifted in scattered groups, weapons disabled, crews confined to non-essential areas. Admiral Sunwoo stood on the observation deck of her flagship, watching as repair crews worked to restore damaged sections of the captured council battle station, unyielding victory. Behind her, President Jisoo and her advisors reviewed the latest status reports. "Every military target neutralized," Sunwoo reported. "Minimum casualties on both sides. Council leadership is isolated and awaiting our next move." President Jisoo nodded slowly. At her side, Ambassador Yoonji studied the holographic display showing council territory. "We could push further," suggested General Hyun. "With their communication network still disabled, we could seize their central worlds within days." The room fell silent as everyone considered this possibility. Humanity had achieved what the Council had thought impossible. Not merely resistance, but decisive victory against superior forces. President Jisoo finally spoke. "No, we've proven our point. Further conquest serves no purpose." Ambassador Yoonji nodded in agreement. "I've studied Council species for 20 years. They understand strength, but they also respect restraint. Showing both will serve us better than total domination." "Send the message," ordered President Jisoo. "We're ready to discuss terms." Across Council space, alien leaders received the unexpected communication with a mixture of fear and relief. They had anticipated extermination or enslavement, the fate many Council species would have imposed on a defeated enemy. Instead, humans requested the convening of an emergency Council session to negotiate peace. 7 days later, the rebuilt Council chamber hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from all 24 member species gathered under the watchful eyes of human security personnel. The chamber itself showed signs of hasty repairs, scorch marks still visible on some walls, temporary lighting units replacing damaged fixtures. Ambassador Taiho watched as the human delegation entered. He alone among Council members had warned of humanity's potential. Now his colleagues looked to him with new respect and growing fear that humans might seek revenge for their arrogance. Ambassador Yoonji led the human delegation. Her simple blue uniform contrasted sharply with the elaborate ceremonial garb of most Council representatives. She carried no weapons, but the power she represented was unmistakable. Chair being Yuna, her translucent wings now folded tightly against. Her body in a sign of submission called the session to order. "We recognize Ambassador Yoonji of Earth," she announced, her voice lacking its former confidence. "The Council acknowledges humanity's decisive response to our actions." Yoonji stepped to the central platform. The chamber grew utterly silent. 3. "Weeks ago, your Council launched an unprovoked attack against my people," she began. "You destroyed a civilian research station, killing 289 non-combatants. You expected us to surrender or die." She paused, her gaze moving around the chamber. "Instead, you discovered that humanity is not what you believed us to be." Representative Modu, who had once dismissed humans as primitives, shifted uncomfortably. In his seat, "Humanity could continue this conflict," Yoonji continued. "Our forces control half your military installations. Your fleets are disabled. Your homeworlds lie undefended." A ripple of fear passed through the alien representatives. "But unlike you, we do not target civilians. Unlike you, we do not seek dominance for its own sake. We fought because you left us no choice. We now choose to end this conflict." Yunji touched a control on her wrist, and a holographic document appeared before each council member. "We require 3 things," she stated, firmly. "First, recognition of human sovereignty over our current territories and acknowledgement of our right to expand through peaceful means. Second, reparations for the civilians killed at Horizon Station to be paid to their families. Third, full membership on this council, with all associated rights and responsibilities." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. The terms were shockingly reasonable. Many had expected territorial concessions, military occupation, or worse. "Is this all?" blurted Representative Jinho, unable to contain his surprise. Yunji raised an eyebrow. "Did you expect us to demand your surrender? The dissolution of your council? Perhaps the execution of those responsible for attacking our people?" Jinho looked away, unable to meet her gaze. "That is not who we are," Yunji said quietly. "Humanity does not seek vengeance. We seek security. We seek respect. We seek partnership with those willing to offer it." After 6 hours of discussion, the vote was unanimous. The stunned council representatives agreed to all terms, realizing humans could have demanded far more. The treaty was signed and transmitted throughout council space. The brief but devastating conflict that would later be known as the Week of Thunder officially ended. As the session concluded, Ambassador Taiho approached Yunji. "Your restraint honors your species," he said softly. "Many council members still do not understand it." Yunji smiled. "They will learn, with time." 2 months later, the newly reformed council gathered for its first regular session. Ambassador Taiho, now elevated to council premier by unanimous vote, stood before the assembled representatives. "Today marks a new chapter in our shared history," he began. "The reforms we have implemented, shared military oversight, expansion, rights for developing species, the ban on attacks against civilian targets, will ensure that our past mistakes are never repeated." In his private journal that evening, Taiho wrote, "The greatest irony of this transformation is that humans built their military might not from aggression, but from fear of exactly this scenario. They prepared for the worst while hoping for peace. They hid their true capabilities not to deceive us, but to avoid appearing threatening. They fought with precision when provoked, but offered mercy in victory." The following day, humanity officially took its place among the council races. Ambassador Yunji, now representing Earth on the council's executive committee, addressed the chamber. Her closing statement would echo through the stars for generations to come. "Humanity extends its hand in friendship to all peaceful species. Our history has taught us the value of cooperation, the strength found in diversity, and the wisdom of preparedness. Remember this always in your dealings with us. We come in peace, but we stay prepared for war." Throughout council space, species that had once dismissed humans as primitive newcomers now studied Earth's history with new interest. They discovered a species that had nearly destroyed itself multiple times, yet always survived. A species that transformed threat into opportunity. A species whose greatest strength was not technology or numbers, but adaptability. The Galactic Council had struck at humans, only to face their fury. In doing so, they had inadvertently created something unprecedented. A genuinely balanced interspecies alliance, with humanity as its unexpected conscience.